What is up, guys, and welcome to episode number 5 of F1 2019 Career Mode in the Renault. Now, before we address the elephant in the room, I severely recommend that you go check out the previous episode to see the drama that unfolded in the Chinese Grand Prix. Now, I'm going to disclose what happened last race. It was absolute disaster for Renault. Colliding with your teammate, it's the last thing you want to see. I've checked a lot of the comments. Majority of people all thought it was my fault. I still don't kind of see it that way, but I guess if everyone is saying that, I guess it is my fault if I'm being an idiot, which I can kind of understand. So I'll need to make sure that that doesn't happen again. So me and Ricardo, we've patched things up. We've had a couple of days off virtually. We've had our shrimp on the barbie, and now we're ready to go again for this Grand Prix. It's BAKU. Anything's possible. Let's do this.
Welcome to the Baku City Circuit, where free practice for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix is about to get underway. This is a technical circuit which will nonetheless see some huge speeds with a near flat-out final sector that's twice the length of Shanghai's back straight. Let's see who can find the right balance in their setup today.
I've had a chat with Carl about the new parts, and we're happy that they've been integrated into the car okay. With any luck, you'll be able to feel the improvement, so give them a try.
Cheers for that one, Chief. We are ready for practice. So we had a power upgrade that failed last episode, but now we've amended that and it's on the car and ready for this race. So it couldn't have come at a more perfect weekend, to be honest. We needed a power upgrade. We've been suffering with straight line speed all season, and now we'll get a small boost, but, you know, it's only going to be, you know, minor. So hopefully it can at least make us defend a little bit easier. Maybe we can hold our own versus some similar teams around us. I don't expect that we'll be, you know, punching well above our weight with the likes of, you know, the works teams in the world, you know, like the Ferraris and the Mercedes. But, you know, the other, you know, privateer teams, if you will, hopefully we can stand our own against those guys. But pace-wise, I feel like, I don't know, I struggled for pace in practice. I really had to work hard at it to beat the practice programs. And when that happens, it's often a bad sign for how your weekend might potentially go if we're struggling for speed. Azerbaijan has always been a strong circuit for the AI, much like Bahrain, but I'm remaining optimistic given how we managed to turn our weekend around 2 races ago. Hopefully, we haven't even got to qualifying and I'm already talking about damage limitation, but hopefully we can buck the trend of having bad qualifyings and just start from the front. But anyway, it's time for quali. Let's go.
The circuit has rubbed in with practice, but this is still going to be a difficult session for our drivers as they fight for pole position. Welcome to qualifying here in Azerbaijan.
One thing I forgot to say as well is engine-wise, or just component-wise, they've all been faring quite well, with the exception of the ICE. So the main engine, I suppose, internal combustion engine, that's at like 53, 54%, and already has diminished in terms of its outright horsepower. That was one of the reasons I was really struggling for pace on Friday and Saturday practice. We chucked in a brand new ICE. We've left the rest of the components inside the power unit. They're all sitting around the mid-20 range in terms of, you know, percentile. So it's huge, the discrepancy between the ICE and the rest of the components. And I've already done a reliability upgrade for the ICE. So if I didn't have that on the car, imagine how bad the ICE would be. That's ridiculous. We're gonna have to chuck on another modifier. I think it's 30% each time. We'll need that extra 30% to even bring it close to the levels that the other components are wearing at, because at the moment we're going to burn through maybe 4 or 5 engines at this rate, but hopefully that's not the case. Here we are for qualifying. Not really sitting all too well at the moment. We're P20. I think I've done 2 laps already, and pace is not looking good. For reference, I think I did a 1 minute 40.8 in practice, And for qualifying, you get an extra engine mode, which we're using at the moment. It's max revs. But we're not really unlocking any extra pace, which seems to be odd. Normally, when you come into qualifying, it's easy to gain half a second or more over the potential of what you did in practice. But at the moment, we're just not really finding that extra potential. And you can see me riding on board for this entire lap. Haven't made any major mistakes. I've been flying the car nicely. I was struggling for rotation a little bit in the slow speed corners, but on this lap in particular, it's been fine. But the pace just isn't quite there. We're up by 0.2 as we come on to the long start-finish straight. So this will be an improvement, but it's not going to be groundbreaking. I don't think it's going to get us anywhere off the bottom of the ladder. It gets us up one place to P19, but I can tell you that by the end of the session, signs improved, and we were not able to improve on that time that we did, even with another set of soft compound tires. So 3 runs of it, and we were last. That is concerning. Originally, I thought the AI were not really balanced with qualifying as opposed to the race, but I really didn't go any faster in qualifying than what I did in practice, and I didn't do anything wrong. A real head scratcher, that one. Time for the race. Let's hope we can turn it around.
Good afternoon and welcome to Baku. This was the arena, if you think back to 2017, of one of the most eventful races of modern history, with controversy behind the safety car, last-second overtakes, and a historic podium for Williams and for Lance Stroll. So let's find out what lies in store for us this year. It's time for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Joining me for the Grand Prix once again is Anthony Davidson. Let's talk about Day. They're starting towards the back of the field today in a car that is fast. So they'll be disappointed, won't they?
It's not a nice feeling, I promise you. They've got a quick car underneath them, but they've got onto the grid today and they need a pair of binoculars to see the start lights. They'll be desperate for a good start to make up for some of that deficit.
Keep your eyes open on the run to turn 1 and keep it clean. We want to come out in one piece. Good luck.
Welcome, guys, to the grid of the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Heavy rain for this race. I'm actually embracing the weather change, because in the dry, we were absolutely nowhere. I'm hoping that in the race, in the wets, it might just change up the form book for this one. We've got nothing to lose. One thing I am kind of kicking myself for not doing on the build-up to this race was chucking in a brand new engine, taking a grid penalty when I'm already last. But I missed the trick with that one. I didn't even change any of the engine components, so that is a shame. But anyway, here we are for this race. 5 red lights, and we are going to be very conservative off of this start. Azerbaijan, these races are often crazy, and with heavy rain thrown into the mix, I ultimately just want to get through to the end of this race. So let's play ourselves in nicely. Getting squeezed out by signs through turn 1. So, yeah, having to just react to what the AI are doing at the moment. I've gone for a low or under-fueled strategy because it's going to be quite wet for this race. We don't need to use the higher engine modes all too much. I will be in lean through the middle sector, but at the moment, visibility is absolutely atrocious. I literally guessed where the braking zone was for that corner, and surprisingly, I got it spot on with reference to the rest of the AI. So I was quite proud of myself on that one, but yeah, this is very, very treacherous conditions. It's very hard to race. My mindset here is just survival, but we are moving up places. The pace looks okay in the wet, so that is encouraging. Our race pace seems to be a lot better than qualifying pace. The jury is still out as to whether, oh my god, the exit that I got versus the Williams, side by side, we don't want to do that. Oh my goodness, we were almost in the wall for both of us. Myself and Kubica. Now here comes Albon once again. This race has gone from 0 to 11, or 100 in 2 seconds. I think it's 3 wide on this start-finish straight, and here we go, P16 it is. So we're just feeling our way around the circuit at the moment. That's an off for us, and that is a place given to Albon. Yeah, still early days trying to find the limits of grip, and we certainly found that on the run into turn 1 and also out of the final corner as well. I completely lost my train of thought. I was going to say something. But then the whole battle with the Williams thing happened. And that put curtains to that. I think it was my pace or something. Yes, so hang on. Back end lost, touched the wall. Thankfully managed to get away with it. The jury is still out as to whether the AI are unnecessarily fast in qualifying, or whether it's a me issue, a setup issue, or could it be that the AI in the race are slower than what they should be? Maybe their qualifying pace is their normal pace, but in the race they're somewhat slower than what they normally are. I don't know. And we're still trying to find our bearings with this game. Of course, day one patch hasn't come out. A lot of the teams are not at the pace that they should be. McLaren should be much faster than what they are. Haas need to be nerfed a little bit. Ferrari, Williams definitely need to be nerfed. Like, bloody hell. They are way too fast for what their natural pace is in 2019. But we'll see what happens over the course of the next few days. We should get that update very, very soon. But meanwhile, it looks like everyone's diving in for a set of intermediate tyres, or at least I think the intermediate tyres are coming out. I don't imagine why you'd want to get off wet tyres and switch on to a new set of wet tyres after only 6 laps. So the only logical explanation is intermediate tyres. Daniel Ricciardo getting held for an absolute age in the pit lane, and he'll be once again kicking himself. He's had no luck, absolutely no luck in my career mode, whether it be reliability issues, me crashing into him, strategy, malarkey. It never ends for Daniel Ricciardo, and I'm hoping that this is the race where it turns around for him, but it's not looking likely. We're in on the following lap, just responding to the AI. A much clearer pit lane for us, and we're able to get in and out very efficiently and onto the intermediate tyres. So, that's Ricciardo. We are a good few seconds behind him, despite him being held up massively in the pit lane. I guess he just managed to make up a lot more time on the intermediate tyres, but now we can push a whole lot more. The track is drying ever so slightly. Now, the intermediate tyres have a little bit more to give in the way that you can push them a bit more. I was finding in the early laps of this race, I was having to be really delicate with the brakes, but as soon as I put on these set of intermediate tyres, I can feel I can push these brakes a whole lot more, and I think they're going to get tested now as we run 3 wide down the start-finish straight, overtaking Russell and Grosjean. Heavy braking into turn 1, really stressing the tyres and the brakes, but the car is held out. It is into P12 now, I think, for us. Don't quote me on that, but that was a fantastic move on both of those guys. I got to admit, I was actually fist pumping as I was exiting turn 1. Couldn't believe I got that stopped. We had a few excursions at turn 1 on the wet tyres, but now on the inters, confidence is much higher, and I really feel like we can get a good result today. It's set to dry up towards the end of this race, but I'm feeling absolutely on fire with these intermediate tyres. Maybe the inters are on fire, and why did I speak too soon? If they weren't on fire before, they definitely are on fire now with that heavy lockup into turn 1. You can see the brakes were like literally glowing there as we went through there, but didn't take us long to recover the time lost on Raikkonen. We're all over his gearbox once again. Maybe these tyres are on fire. Maybe they're like at the perfect operating window or slightly over or whatever it is. I've got so much temperature in these tyres. I don't know, I just got so much pace over the AI right now, or just those around me. The setup seems to be working beautifully. I definitely pushed wide there from Raikkonen. Got the move done anyway, but that was a little bit sketchy, I won't lie. He mounted the curb. I think he was trying to leave me space, but in doing so, he's kind of made contact. But anyway, I think that was fair, given that he touched me. I overtook him off track, but he touched me and pushed me out wide, so I think that's fair game. What was I saying? I didn't have that much pace in the wets, the full wets. I felt like I had good pace, but not amazing. But now on the inters, Just something about these tyres that are just absolutely clicking for me right now. Stroll and Ricciardo side by side through turn 1. I think I'm going to follow my teammate here. I kind of rate his pace a little bit better, given that he's got a better chassis. Hopefully he'll get a better exit here. I'm really counting on him to do so, and he delivers. So it's through for both the Renaults, P9 and P10. I'm swiftly going to take that P9 away from him. So it's one step forward, one step back for my teammate. And we outbrake him around the outside, and he is left to fester in our dirty air. So let's make some use of this clear air. I think this is the first time all race I've really had a good patch of clear air, and now that we're on the faster or more comfortable tyre for us now, let's really see what we can do.
Daniel behind. The gap to the car behind is 1.7 seconds. They're on old Inters. Their tyres are 5 laps old. We think they've got one more stop. The time last lap was a 1:58.5.
58.5, that is a lot slower than our best lap. So, worrying signs for Ricciardo. He always seems to be struggling for tyre wear, just race pace. He just seems to fall backwards, and I hope that that gets patched. Or at least I hope his performance gets better in a couple of days or so, because right now he is floundering. His qualifying pace is, magnificent. He outdoes me every day on a Saturday, but Sundays it is a completely different story. Fastest lap of the Grand Prix. Where has that come from? I knew I was fast on these tyres, but that is ridiculous. Faster than the Mercedes, Ferraris, Red Bulls, Haas's. I'm just going to keep name-dropping teams here. We're faster than all of them. What's going on here at Azerbaijan? It's just a wacky race, and we seem to be closing in the top teams now. P9 for us, and we're catching Perez by like a second a lap. I just hope that the track doesn't dry out at this rate. We're just absolutely on fire, and we're continuing to find speed, even though the tyres are going off. For reference, rear tyres are getting worn out quite a lot faster than the fronts. I've been really managing the rear tyres, short shifting early, using higher gears. It's a technique I've been doing since Bahrain. I found a lot of pace by doing it that way, but even still, the rear tyre wear seems to be a lot harsher than what's going on with the front tyres. And if I'm, managing it so well and still have this tyre wear imbalance, maybe the AI is struggling worse, and they've just got no pace. We just seem to be getting stronger and stronger. That's my only theory as to why we're so strong at the early phase. Well, not the early phase, but the back end of this middle stint here. So it's P6 for us. A couple of people are diving in for intermediate tyres. Bear in mind, we were one of the last people to get off the wets and get onto intermediate tyres, and our tyres at the moment are quite worn, 50 or 60 odd percent. I think it's closer to 50. So people who have been on the intermediate tyres longer than I have and have been wearing them out faster than I have just had to get off them, quite frankly. I was wondering why they wouldn't just hold it out on their intermediate tyres until the dry weather comes, because it's only a few laps away. But the more that I think about it, the more that it makes sense that they just don't have any life left in their tyres and they have to get off them. Whereas we seem to be curating the rear tyres quite well. Another fastest lap of the Grand Prix, lap 18, into the 1:54s now, as we move into the podium positions. So 59% on the right rear. The Ferraris have stopped, so they're on fresh inters. The Mercedes have stopped as well, and they're just a few seconds back now. And this could legitimately be a fight for the podium now, as we get to the closing stages of this Azerbaijan Grand Prix. 8 laps left in this race, and it will get dry towards the end. I'm just hoping that we can keep these tyres alive until the point that we all need to switch to dry tyres. If it stays wet now for the rest of this race, I don't think the tyres will make it. But meanwhile, not the Ferraris, as we're looking at them, the Mercedes were squabbling away quite hard for P4 in this race, and I think Max Verstappen was looking to get involved as well. So hopefully they can battle it out, and I can just cruise away for a miracle podium. I can't believe I'm saying this after starting last, being absolutely nowhere in the dry in qualifying. We are looking at history. for this Renault team, the little team that could. How are we in this position? I think we're actually going to box this lap. We've signaled to the team that we are coming in. Track is getting quite dry, so I think it is about time that we get in. Vettel is the first of the Ferraris to make the switch to intermediate tyres. So Leclerc has been left out to dry, quite literally, on those wet tyres. So he'll be pretty close with us, I think, once he makes his pit stop, because he's going to lose a lot of time on this lap, just trying to limp it home on a dry track with intermediate tyres, whereas we'll be on the softs and closing him in quite rapidly. Hamilton getting the second driver treatment in this race, as Bottas, I think, had pit preference, being the lead Mercedes at the time. So that's really going to kill his chances of getting a podium today. But here he comes on the next lap. This is Leclerc coming out of the pit lane, and it looks like he's actually going to rejoin in front of us. So if anything, I haven't really gained any time on the Ferrari, and the gap is pretty much as it was. So that's very, very surprising. Bottas is on the back of me now. 4 laps left to go in this Azerbaijan Grand Prix, and Bottas is on the back of us. Round the outside. Can he make it stick? No, he can't. I actually ran out wide there through turn 1. I didn't squeeze him. I had a bit of understeer just trying to go in late, and that looked a lot nastier than what it did. 3 laps left. We've got a lot of fuel left, so that's not a concern. The concern is the battery. Having to expel a lot of it on the straight to just keep Bottas at bay. So through the middle sector where the castle section is right here, I'm in none. Like, using none of my battery. Through here, I'm using high, but then I turned off the battery actually quite early on in the piece, and Bottas was able to get a nice run on me there, but his exit wasn't so great. But he's already on the back of me once again on this start finish straight. Here he goes to the inside this time. I think he might get me. He will. He's into the podium positions. So with 2 laps to go here, things are not looking quite as exciting. It's not quite over yet. Bottas didn't get a great exit out of turn 1. He's, again, not a great exit out of turn 2. And we could get him back here. DRS is available for us. Slipstream, high deployment. And we're going to get him back here. So the low downforce that we're running, I think it's 5-4 wings. Oh! Bottas hit the wall. He clipped the inside barrier on the run into the left-hander. And he's chipped off a bit of his front wing. I think he's actually losing quite a bit of touch with me here. But I was going to say, we actually haven't been struggling for straight line speed this weekend. I've noticed we've been one of the fastest cars on the, the speed trap. And that, I think I literally put that down to the low downforce that we're running. Here's Lucas Weber going round the outside of not 1, but 2 cars. Gets the Red Bull and Valtteri Bottas. That is the greatest move I have ever seen from an AI driver. And Daniel's out. Daniel is out of this race. Come on, man. DNF'd in China. DNF in this race. I feel like he's DNF'd somewhere else as well. His luck is absolutely atrocious. Final lap of the Grand Prix now. Weber has now got his way into P4. He might be one to watch as we get to the back end of this race. My tyres are actually starting to go off, and my pace on the dry tyres just isn't quite matched to what the cars around me are, and I'm feeling quite vulnerable here. 37% or 40% on the right rear already, and we've only had them on for a handful of laps in this Azerbaijan Grand Prix, but we only need to get through another half a lap to come away with a miracle podium here. So let's utilize all of the fuel we've got left. We've got 40% battery, but literally all of that will get expelled on the run up to the finish line. So I'm just trying to manage this as best I can, really attacking that curve there on the downhill left-hander. Vettel has won the race. Let's make sure we get a nice exit here. This is going to be crucial. I've extended out wide there to get the best exit. Thankfully, no warning for us. I don't think I even got a single warning this race, which is interesting. But here we go through the final corner. Weber is all over us here on the start-finish straight. He's got the DRS open. Is he going for the slipstream? Not yet, but now he's tucking in. This is going to be really, really close. A drag race between myself and the Haas. Who gets the podium? I think it was us.
Okay, good job, mate. Really well done. That was a fantastic drive.
What a race.
Ferrari are at it again, an excellent performance at today's Grand Prix, and they're certainly a team that know what they're doing out there.
I can now take a breath. That Azerbaijan Grand Prix was absolutely crazy. Well done, Baku. You have delivered once again. And I can breathe now. A podium. Renault on the podium in Season 1 of Career Mode. It's probably not as amazing as what you think it is, but to get a podium this early on in the season, when this looked like our weakest track, that's just an absolute miracle. The pace in the wets, particularly on the intermediate tyres, was outstanding. I hope now, for every race, it rains. Can we have that, please?
Great work out there today. Let's have your thoughts. That was a close race with Lucas. As former teammates, you must know each other's moves well.
I guess, yeah.
You were cutting your way through the field during the race.
Again, I put it down to the pace on the inters. Consistency was amazing. The AI did an extra stop which certainly helped.
Everything went your way today. It looked like you had a really good strategy for the race.
Yeah, good strategy, good time management. All around, just a good job.
You really looked in control of your car out there. Your team must be thrilled.
Yeah, race pace is amazing. Still need to work on the pace over one lap though.
Appreciate your time.
And there we go. That is the end of a fabulous weekend. The bounce back after China, where it was just absolute calamity for Renault. To come away with a podium at the very next race, that is quite the comeback. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this race. If you did, make sure you destroy that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to see plenty more racing game content. I'm going to be honest here, we're not going to come anywhere near close to a podium, at least for a good half a season yet. But to get that podium this early on just means so much. And it's come at a perfect time as well, because contract renewal time is here, and that's where I'm going to leave this episode. So I'll leave you guys on a coat hanger. A coat hanger? That's not the phrase. I'll leave you guys on a cliffhanger, and we'll decide what the fate of our contract/team selection is heading into the next race. But I would imagine that a lot of teams will be hitting up my DMs to sign my services going forward into Spain. But that's it from me today. Thank you so much for watching. The support on all these videos has been absolutely crazy. If you guys could keep it that up, that would be much appreciated. But that's it from me today. Do all the good stuff, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys for a brand new video very soon.
That's a great result. You did really well. I don't think we can have any complaints with that performance.